Hey, Saints. Hope you all had a splendiferous weekend. I'm Kong.
And I'm Cole.
And this is SFHS Today. In world news, actor Michael Gambon died at 82 years old on Wednesday last week. He was better known as the second actor to play Dumbledore. According to the New York Times, he died peacefully in his sleep with his family by his side.
In national news, after almost 150 days, the writer's strike officially ended at 12:01 Thursday morning, and the writers went back to work that same day, CBS News reported.
In school news, senior sunrise was on Friday and was held in the gym because of the rain. Here are some photos from that moment.
In other school news, a new initiative started Thursday last week called the Say Something Protocol. Reporters Hyatt Lindquist and Charlie Haller went out and spoke to some of the staff about great importance of this protocol.
The purpose of the Say Something program is really founded in the organization that sponsors it or that came up with it, and that is the Sandy Hook Promise, which was born out of the tragedy of Sandy Hook Elementary School. The goal of the Say Something program is to empower students to speak up when they know something's wrong, to prevent school violence. School violence could include fights, it could include student suicide, it could include bullying, or it could include a violent critical incident.
What I love about this system is on a Saturday night, you're concerned about your own personal safety, or let's say you think something's going to happen at school the next day, you can call the tip line and then they will get a hold of the right person. And I think that's really important. You know, if someone's dealing with mental health crisis or things like that, they can get immediate help.
When we dig into statistics about any of those violent incidents, what we know and have found to be true, backed by evidence and data, is that before those things happened, people did know about them, but they didn't say anything about them.
I feel like it'll be a very beneficial program to our school. I feel like it could help a lot of people that need it and could prevent bad things from happening.
There's a lot of people that don't feel comfortable bringing some things forward. This allows them that opportunity.
I think Say Something is great, and I think that they have an anonymous tip line is a really good thing. And it's good to know that there's an option out there if I need to reach out.
And so in order to prevent it and make this a safer place for students and for staff, and in order for us to really kind of take care of our kids in our community, this program exists to prevent that violence and to empower students to say something when they know something's wrong.
Thank you for helping to emphasize the importance of this initiative.
In other news, a big surprise happened last week when out of nowhere, students were logged out of their school email, and their password was suddenly changed. Reporters Logan Miller and Daniel Sanchez went to ask administrators and students about what happened.
What happened is we were migrating from one password management service to another password management service. This has been planned out for a couple of months now. We've been working closely with the company that organizes it, and what basically happened is that during that migration, there was an unexpected error on their end, and when that happened, it caused all of the student passwords to be reset to random characters.
When the passwords got changed, I was actually out on a sculpture field trip for Quiz sculpture class, and so I got home and I was like, okay, so I'm gonna do my homework, I'm gonna get it all done, I'm gonna be caught up by tomorrow. And then my password changed, and my phone had gotten hacked like a few months before that, and I wasn't able to switch my old school email password anyways. So then I thought that my email got hacked. So that was kind of nerve-wracking.
Because we changed over to our password management server, that's not going to be happening again. I don't expect an error like this to happen again.
Thanks for that. And in even more school news, you may notice school lunches are free this year.
So reporters Zach Karishin and Haley King-Steele went and spoke with staff and students on their thoughts about the free lunches.
Governor Wells passed and signed into legislation a free meals program called the FSM, Free School Meals Program, for Minnesota. He did that last spring, and it started this school year. So all the students are free for the lunch, and one free lunch and one free breakfast each day.
They help a lot of people out financially, and they're pretty good.
In the past, if a student came from a family that was struggling, the student was waiting for the family to fill out the form, okay? And so Sometimes students were waiting for, a period of time before parents finally got that form paperwork filled out. Now there's no paperwork, so that has all been removed, and it's just an easier process for everybody because all the students are free.
My favorite lunch here is the spicy chicken wrap.
And my favorite lunch is the spicy chicken patty with a side of crumble cookie cone.
And then I'd have to say that my favorite lunch would be the teriyaki chicken.
Okay, that would be the chicken Alfredo.
What are your thoughts on the free lunch?
I just like food, and I like the fact that it's free.
I'd have to agree with you on that one. This year we brought back the sculpture class that hasn't been around since 2017, and last week they had a field trip.
Reporter Haley King Steele went out on that trip and talked to Deb McQuay and some of the students about the trip and the class.
Sculpture field trip was an awesome day. Almost our whole class was able to go. We started the day at the Walker Sculpture Garden, which if you're familiar with the spoon and cherry, it's sort of a Minneapolis icon. That's an outdoor sculpture garden. And then at the Walker, the local artists created this rooftop mini golf course. So we went up to the roof and did some mini golfing. And then we had lunch at Global Market and finished the day at the Minneapolis Institute of Art. And typically, sculptures are intended for their aesthetic value, meaning just for looks. Sometimes sculptures can have functions to it, but they're designed with a sense of beauty and a purpose in communicating a message from the artist to the viewer. I try to make sculpture a sample class of a bunch of different mediums. So we start with clay, we do botanical plaster casting, we do cardboard construction. We're about to start wood carving. We do assemblage, which is using recycled materials. And we also do an upcycled fashion unit.
Out of those, what is your favorite unit to do?
That's a good question. This year, upcycled fashion is a new one. So I am really excited. I think the students will connect to it, and I like to keep the curriculum fresh and relevant. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Thanks, Haley, for the scoop on sculpture. And with that, we'll hand it off to sports.
Hey, Saints, I'm Big Tuck.
And I'm Ben Maggs.
And this is Sports. In world sports news, the Russian and Belarusian Paralympic teams will be able to compete as neutral participants in the next year's games, according to Reuters. The International Paralympic Committee originally had banned the teams after the 2022 invasion of Ukraine. Competing as neutral athletes means doing so without a national team or emblems, flags, and anthems.
In national sports news, the Portland Trail Blazers are trading Damian Lillard to the Milwaukee Bucks. Lillard leaves Portland after 11 seasons and 7 All-Star selections, according to ESPN. In school sports news, the Fighting Saints took on Cambridge last Friday for Battle for the Paddle. It was also the Blue Jackets' homecoming and senior night. The game ended with a score of 20-21, bringing the Saints' record to 0-5. Colin Kong spoke with some of St. Francis alumni teachers who gave them a little history behind the tradition between rivals.
As a St. Francis alumni, what does the Battle for the Paddle mean to you?
Honestly, it's probably one of the largest, the biggest games that we play here. I can personally think of maybe one, maybe two other games that, like, significance-wise, like historically, it's a big deal. I mean, they're next-door neighbors. Historically, we've kind of battled back and forth. In the grand scheme of things, they've beaten us more than we've beaten them. So for a long time, we were kind of the little brother in this situation, and they're big brother. Parents are away, and we're kind of getting bullied a little bit. Maybe a little swirlies in the toilet, extra noogies, but then we started up the Battle for the Paddle.
I think it was still a huge rivalry from even way back in the day before they left our conference and we went to the North Suburban Conference. The fans were chirping the entire game, and there was a lot of hostility, I think, between the two fan bases and the two teams.
The Battle for the Paddle means to me, goes way back when I was here as an alumni. We used to get beat by Cambridge all the time. And over the years, our rivalry grew and grew, much like our rivalry with Andover is now. So if you guys nowadays understand what the rivalry with Andover is, it was the same thing. So every year when we play Cambridge, I always circle that on my calendar, and I always brings me back to the memories of back when I was playing, and just, you know, how we've kept the paddle now for so long. I just want us to always continue to keep it and just get that payback.
Continuing with school sports, girls tennis have been killing it on the court, bringing home the conference championship for the first time in 42 years. See our latest story about the team on our website, SFHScrier.com.
And we finally end our sports segment today with a little look at bow hunting, which opens September 16th. Reporters Adam Grubb and Tom Weber went out in search of the big trophy.
How has the bow hunting opener been for you so far?
Seen a few does, been rough other since then.
You go / what is your setup?
I go in my backyard where I hunt, and my setup is most likely a tree stand.
From what I've heard from my dad, he would usually wear his camouflage and find like a nice tree to sit on because he has like one of those stands, or like a really big bush. Those really help him like find a lot of good places. And also he has like night cameras, so wherever the most deer are on those night cameras, he usually goes to that spot.
I got a Hoyt, set out at like 50 pounds, and I just hunt in my backyard.
What does your typical hunting trip look like? Tree, stalking, etc.?
Just sit in a tree stand for bow. Rifle season, sit in a deer stand, like enclosed.
You would have to go like a mile or two out into the woods to set up. It takes about 3 hours to set up, and then he just waits there for the entire day when he has free time.
What I usually do while hunting is I usually sit in a tree, but sometimes I might sit on the ground in a blind.
How do you keep your clothes odorless, if you do at all?
Field spray, that's about it.
Put it in a tub of acorns.
Right. What exactly do you hunt?
Deer.
How do you personally stay / walk quietly?
I mostly watch out for dry leaves and twigs and branches, so if I step on it, it doesn't snap.
Just soft-footed as possible. Stay away from the big branches that have fallen down. Don't step on them. If you can visibly see a big pile of leaves, don't step in them.
Though we have not done it, my dad and my brother have talked about it. We have actually caught like 2 bucks. Bow hunting is really fun to do. I've seen my dad do it a lot. Everyone in my family, we each have our own bows. We go hunting. I practice archery a lot. So yeah.
That's all the sports we have for you this week. Now over to Ari and Taylor for weather.
Welcome back to the weather, Saints.
I'm Ari.
And I'm Taylor.
And this is your forecast for the week.
Better use back to me! Today, it's a high of 82 with a low of 65. It's supposed to be cloudy though.
And for the rest of the week, I'd take out your jackets, because on Wednesday the high is only 68 and a low of 54.
Thursday with a high of 63 and a low of 51, but the sun does start to come out.
And on Friday, the weather stays cold, with a high of 56 and a low of 46.
And this weekend with a high of 60 and a low of 38.
That's all we got for you this week.
Now back to Maine.
Before we send you off, we went out and talked to some students and staff on what their quote of the day was in this week's RQT.
It's the random question thing. Ding.
What's your quote of the day?
I'm not a go buff at the description.
What's your quote of the day?
Learn from yesterday, live for today, and hope for tomorrow.
Mine is live every day, hype.
Mine is do good things and good things will come back to you.
What's your quote of the day?
Have a good mindset, make sure God's by your side, and have good grades.
What's your quote of the day?
You can't make everybody happy, you're not a taco.
What's the quote of the day?
It's not about the size of the dog in the fight. It's about the size of the fight in the dog.
What's your quote of the day?
Quote of the day is, how big would you dream if you know you couldn't fail?
What is your quote of the day?
Probably mine, bowling is fun in your spare time.
That's all for this week. Stay safe, Saints.